Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the Rotary District 6900's webinar on public image ideas, resources, collaborative resources, and for best practices for clubs. Thank you for joining us for this. We hope this is an hour of learning for you. We appreciate the time that you're taking to be with us, and our mission is to provide you with the essential tools that you need and that you can use to provide you the best resources we can so that this year will make yours the best ever in our district. So I wanted to just let you know my name is Claudia Myrtle, and it's my honor to serve as district trainer for the district this year for District Governor elect Jim Squire. So Jim, would you like to welcome us to the webinar, please?
Well, thank you very much, Claudia, and I would like to welcome everybody from beautiful Georgia Southwestern State University in Americus, Georgia, where I have the privilege today to be at RILA, which many of our Rotarians know as the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards Program. It's absolutely fantastic down here to see these 150 youth from across the district bonding with each other, and they'll be taking away lifelong traits on competitive learning and leadership. So it's great to be down here. So I just wanted to put in a plug for RILA for those of you that will be looking at your club's participation with hopefully RILA next year. But we started this webinar last week, and we had some technical difficulties. So thank those of you that are back again this week. And I'm just so excited to have both Bob Hope and Lou Alvarado as our content managers for this event today. So Claudia, let's get it started.
You bet. I would like for you to know our webinar guru, Bill Baker. Bill, I want to thank you so much for all of your assistance. It has been fantastic. So at this point, I wanted you again to realize we have two celebrities with us, Bob Hope and Lou Alvarado, and they're going to make fantastic presentations that you will take away and learn a lot from. So, well, let's go over a few webinar information items, and we will let you know that, next please, we'll let you know that those items start with you're all in mute mode, and there is on the right side of your computer a dashboard box, and near the bottom of that there's a question section. So if you have any questions at all, please direct your questions to that box and we will answer them at the end. We're being recorded, so this will be available on the district YouTube channel, and we invite you to, in several days, to go there and find it. And if you need any help, assistant governors are standing there ready for you. So let's go into the webinar. Early on, next please, early on a couple of years ago when Jim was district governor nominee, and we were meeting in Columbus, Georgia at the District Training Assembly, we asked you two questions. You were then president's nominee. For those of you who are presidents, we asked the president's nominee, if you could design a training program to meet your learning needs, what 6 items would you select? And the second question that we asked was, of these 6 items, what are your top 3? And let's put them in priority order. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. We took those 2 questions and those top 3 priority order information items that you wanted for your training, and every webinar that we produce for you this year, the 12 webinars, are according to what you wanted and what you needed to make your year better. So next slide, please. So this is an overview of the webinar, and we're going to have the public image materials, Bob Hope, Rotary Means Business, Lou Alvarado, Rotary Web Resources and Club Best Practices. I'm going to do that for you. And then at the end, we're going to have questions and answers for you. So at this time, next slide, please. It is my honor to introduce Bob Hope, Esquire. There's no way to introduce Bob Hope. If you know Bob, you know why I'm saying that. He is with the Rotary Club of Atlanta, and we're privileged to have him as our Public Image Director. Couldn't think of a better person to do that, because Bob, if it's available, Bob has been there and done that. He is an amazing resource, an amazing person. If you've ever heard Bob speak, you'll know that, like I said, he's been there, done that. And we hope this year that you will take advantage of the wonderful resource that Bob is. So, Bob, take it away.
Okay, great. Thanks, Claudia. You know, image is really a very, very simple but also difficult area to address, because you know, image, first of all, everybody has an image, every club has an image, every organization has an image, but just because you have one and you work on it doesn't mean it's good. So if we look at who we are, you know, let's try to define this in the best possible way. We all sort of have a sense of who we are in our local community. I mean, the Atlanta Rotary Club, we're a big club. We have our own idea of what Rotary is all about based on what we see at our club every Monday. But if I'm in another club in another town, you know, that sense of the club, the resources, the you know, what we do as our project is going to be different, and that's, you know, that really is a reflection of what Rotary is in that community. However, let's make sure that what we do works across the board. You know, we're not alone. We're not 35,000 islands out there that don't connect. Next. So, you know, what do we represent? I mean, you know, if you look at it and say, okay, we're one individual Rotary Club, we're one district in Rotary, we're one district in a zone in Rotary, we're one zone in the world of Rotary. What we represent is something that's big and bold. I mean, we represent the world's largest organization of business and civic leaders. When we had the convention here 2 years ago, one of the lessons that I learned being on the committee was from the Atlanta Convention and Visitors Bureau, when they noted that there may be bigger conventions in the world relative to numbers of people. You know, we had, I think, 38,000, and that's big, but it's not the biggest convention in the world. But it is the biggest convention in the world of an organization that consists of business and civic leaders from all over the world. It's very unique. No other organization can claim that in any way. We're the largest membership organization with peace as a mission. The other day I had a meeting at the Carter Center. Marianne Peters, who's the CEO of the Carter Center, was talking about research that they had done, and said they were trying to find the right organizations to tie in with, and that in their research they found that Rotary was the only global organization that had both peace and global health as two of its, you know, missions that it was you know, working on. That's, you know, that's fairly unique. So, you know, we should never forget who we represent. We're the catalyst to eradicating polio. We know that. That's very timely, it's very newsworthy, it's very current. You know, let's not walk away with it. Let's realize that's part of our global image. Rotary Foundation has 100% rating on the Charity Navigator, and it says here for 10 straight years. However, I read, I guess 3 days ago or 4 days ago, it's now 11 straight years. And no other organization can claim that. Rotary Foundation is probably the most effective foundation doing good in the world today. And then we have, you know, 35,000 clubs, 1.3 million members, each club doing enormous good. You can look at what Rotary does as a foundation and does worldwide, whether it's polio or, you know, some of the other areas of focus. But when you look at what individual clubs do, from, you know, who knows what it is, working on parks in an individual community, food programs in an individual community, when you add that up, it's a tremendous amount of goodwill and good work that's being done worldwide. And that is our image. That's the core of our image. That's who we represent. we are a Rotary Club. We're not an independent club with some other name operating in a community. Next. I was lucky enough, as several of you probably were, to go to Hamburg a couple of weeks ago to the Rotary Convention. And they talked about Johns Hopkins University had just done a study for Rotary to get a sense of the impact of Rotary around the world in aggregate. And they added it up, and they estimated that Rotary members contribute 45 million volunteer hours in a year. And if you were to pay for that, it would total nearly $1 billion. That's an enormous amount of good that would not be done if it weren't for this great organization that we're involved with. So at the core of our image, don't forget that we're part of something greater than ourselves. It's just like being in a church or being in another organization that has global impact. We are part of Rotary International, and that's not something to shy away from. We need to whatever we say locally needs to reflect the image and the 4-way test. Next. There's some basics of communication, and I'm just going to go over those. Most often the mistakes that are made when we're trying to build an image is we almost get too bold. We start thinking about tasks that are beyond volunteers to do often, or we get really excited going into a new year and think about big, bold communication efforts that we're going to do, to the point that a lot of it doesn't get done. And the reality of it is that communication typically is very simple. Communication with Rotary is going to be, to a great degree, publicity driven. To a great degree, it's going to be sign driven, meaning that you, whether you have billboards, whether you have, the Rotary wheel out there in, on the side of roads or whatever, you'll have a combination of visibility and then also through publicity, knowledge in the community of what you're doing. What are the things that are newsworthy? Oftentimes we'll stretch and we'll try to get things in the newspaper or get things out there that are fine if you want to buy an ad, but the reality of it is they're not particularly newsworthy. But if you look at what's happening during the year, you're going to find things that every club does that are going to be newsworthy. Not every week, but occasionally you're going to have a speaker, and you'll use your own judgment as to which speakers warrant media coverage. Not everyone will, but occasionally you'll have somebody come to town and sometimes it'll surprise you. But if you alert the media on a regular basis as to who's coming to town and let them look at it and decide, who, invite them to come if they'd like to, but let them decide which ones are really newsworthy. We had one, I guess, about a month and a half ago that I didn't really think the newspaper was in Atlanta. It's a big newspaper, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, would cover. And it was the B.J. Pack, who spoke at our district conference, was the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District in Georgia. And I thought, well, it's nice he's speaking, but I doubt, that the media will be really interested. But we know, as we do, we send out an alert to the media each week and just let them know who the speaker's going to be. And as it turned out, there were three, the day after he spoke, 3 stories in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution on his speech at Rotary. So, that type of thing doesn't happen all the time. But if you continue a flow of communication with the media, it is going to happen some of the time. Sometimes you're going to be disappointed. Sometimes you'll have someone you think, boy, this is really going to generate a lot of publicity, and it doesn't. Other times you'll underestimate the impact, and because the one writer may be particularly interested in what's going on, he'll do much, much better than you expected. But if you do the basic job of getting the flow of information out there, you're going to win. The special projects that you have in the community. We did with our club for the first time this year, a day of service. We should have been doing it for years, but we divided up into 3 groups, and we went out, and some of us packed food at the food bank, others worked in City Park, others, I can't remember what the third one was, but we had like, I think it was 100 of our members out there working in the community one day. Well, that was a special project, and the communication on a special project like that to make it work has to come at different levels. Number one, the members have to know about it early, and they have to have this sense that they should be engaged. You got to be really organized in your internal communication to make sure that your own people respond to get it done, which means start early, plan it well, and make sure that it fits within the wishes of what your members want to do. And the other side of it is you can't sneak up on the outside world. If you want to get any type of media coverage on it, you got to let the media know pretty far ahead of time, and give them the same build up you give your own members to get excitement going so that they're really going to engage and want to be involved. A lot of times we get caught up in writing press releases. I mean, this is very basic in the business I deal in every day, where even clients sometimes think they're hiring you to write a press release. Well, a press release is just a piece of paper. I mean, it's digital. It really is not the end game. It's not what you really want. What you want to do is you want to engage the media. And the best way to do that, whether you're in a big market or a small market, is to treat the key writers and the key editors and the key media people as if they're members of your club. Treat them like your next door neighbor. You don't have to send a really extensive press release to get them engaged in something. Just send them an email, give them a phone call, tell them what's going on. Use email, use the phone. Don't depend on press releases. There's a role for press releases, but it's not really, they're not really that effective most of the time. Make sure you contribute to the district newsletter. It always amazes me. Jackie does such a great job of putting out the district newsletter. And she's always in need of content. When you send her a good story about what your club's doing, she'll put that story in there. And somehow, as the rest of the district knows about what you're doing becomes more and more important within the Rotary world, and that's very important. I've been doing this for years. I've been working in the public relations business since I was 18 years old. That's a long time ago. I became the PR director of the Braves when I was 24 years old. So I've had positions where I at least had to supposedly know what I was doing. And I'm available all the time. I'll give you my phone number later, but I'm here. I'm around 24/7. I don't mind somebody calling me on the weekend. I don't mind somebody emailing me, texting me, whatever. If you have any questions, or if you question the newsworthiness of something that you think is happening with your club. I've been judging whether something's newsworthy for a long time, so I usually can tell you it's worthy of significant coverage, or I might be able to even tell you who to go to get the coverage you'd like to have. Next slide. There you go. At the Rotary convention, I went to the image breakout session they had, and I had my Rotary hat on, my Rotary shirt on, and I had a Rotary pin. And I'm sitting there in the session, and they start going over all the new imagery of Rotary, which has been out for the last few years. But it's the gold, Rotary wheel without the blue. It's the pins, the little round pin that we're used to is not the official pin anymore. The official pin has Rotary on it and the round circle. I'm sitting there, and I had my hat on, my shirt on, and my Rotary pin, and they pointed out to me that all three of them were illegal. They were no longer within the image guidelines that Rotary has officially approved. So I think to start with, let's start with some basics and say, within our club, let's make sure we're using the imagery that's on the Rotary International website. If you go to myrotary.com, they give you more, they have more resource there that you possibly could use and let you know what's right, what's wrong, what's approved, what's not approved, using official suppliers when you order caps, t-shirts, or whatever. And I think it's up to us to really take advantage of that. In the Google Doc that I gave you here is the insert that we did for the Rotary International Convention with the Atlanta Business Chronicle. Well, that cost us nothing. That was almost effortless. We sent out an email one day. We sold enough ads to have the insert in the newspaper. We had talked about how great it would be to have an insert on Rotary in the newspaper, and as if it was an unachievable goal. And yet, when we finally called the newspaper and said we wanted to do it, they were, most excited about it. They put it together. They gave us, for the convention, 40,000 extra copies, and it was the largest insert they had ever produced. We had a hard time just filling all the pages. So if you have an idea, and whether it's an insert for the local newspaper, whether it's a billboard campaign in your community or whatever, pursue it. Make a phone call, ask about it, look into it. Not everything you think you want to do is going to be achievable, but sometimes you'll be surprised and find out it's not only achievable, it's much easier, and much more good things can be done with it than you thought originally. Those inserts, I've been using them to give to prospective board members, because there's more, prospective club members, because there's more information in that insert on Rotary than you can find in any other place I've seen. And the final thing I talked about earlier is treat the media just as you would treat anybody else in your community. Treat them like your next door neighbor. Take them to breakfast, take them to lunch. Build a relationship. The editor of the local newspaper should be in your club if possible. The newspaper writers and the media should come to every club meeting just as members, because it's worthy of your members to show up. It certainly should be worthy for them to show up. And also online, if you want primers or just information on basic media relations, don't hesitate to go look it up on Google. There are all types of resources out there that can teach you the basics, and if you stick to the basics, you're going to do extremely well. I loved it at didn't watch much of the Tony Awards on TV, but I flipped it on in time to see one of the winners, and I don't really know what his name was, but he was talking about his 5 suggestions for leading a good life, and one of them was, if you really wanted to achieve something great in a hurry, go slowly. And I think achieving image is the same way. You're not going to do it overnight. Do the basics well and continue to do them, and you're going to build awareness, and you're going to build on your image. Next slide. Next slide. Talked about the online at Rotary. You have all kinds of ads, billboards, all the graphics that you can use. You can adapt them for local use. You can you can use the national ones wherever they're applicable to. Next slide. So, basically my suggestion is do the basics right. And if you do the basics right, the big picture is going to work. And if you're in doubt, feel free to give me a call. That's my phone number.
Great presentation, Bob. Thank you so much. It's a lot of very good information, and we appreciate it. Our next presenter is famous Lou Alvarado Jr. He's an assistant governor. He has the clubs of Alvarado, Sandy Springs, Stone Mountain, and Tucker. And he has been commissioned into service this year by District Governor-elect Jim to really put some collaborative efforts together. And he's the man to do it. He has done a super job with the collaborative efforts that he's already done that he'll be telling you about. Plus, he's heavily involved in Rotary Means Business, which is a huge fellowship and collaborative effort. And so he is with the Rotary Club of North Atlanta. So at this time, Lou, take it away.
Oh, great. Thank you very much, Claudia. Rotary Connects the World seems to be very appropriate for the Rotary Means Business. We started this, as some of you might know, we started this past year under the tutelage of District Governor Court Dowis. I got involved with it pretty innocently. I went to a zone meeting down in Jacksonville, Florida, and was very impressed with Pepper Pittet and Scott Yoakum of District 69, 20 who I consider kind of the granddads or the fathers of this program. So I was very interested in the program. I reached out to district leadership, and they said, Lou, why don't you go ahead and run with this? And I said, sure, why not? For the longest time, I always thought it was just kind of weird for no other reason that here we are, most of us are business leaders, and we weren't able to promote our own businesses within Rotary. And I kind of understand why. The last thing you want to do is go to a Rotary meeting and have somebody pitch you some sort of service that you don't need or you don't want. So as a result, we started in our district Rotary Means Business. We have first, let me acknowledge the people that I couldn't do it without. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Yes, I want to first acknowledge the people who made it possible to start making this go forward. Back up one, please. The gentleman is Chad Smith. Chad is with the Rotary Club of West End. He had expressed interest in doing this when District Governor Alex Smythe was district governor, and so I stumbled on his name and I said to him, would you be interested in helping us out? And of course he jumped at the opportunity. The next person is Kristen Camici. She's with the Rotary Club of Tucker, and she's the person that actually makes the whole organization of Rotary Means Business looks good. She's the one that puts out the flyers and designs all the Rotary Means Business stuff. All the ancillary stuff that makes us look good, and of course yours truly in the center. Next slide. Anyway, presently we have Rotary Means Business. We have actually 4. I refer to them as nodes, and the reason I refer to them as nodes is because we also have councils, and I'll touch on that here in a second. And presently we have 4 nodes. We have one in North Fulton, we have one in Cobb, we have one in Atlanta, and we just started this one last month in South Atlanta, where they met in Lovejoy, Georgia. So these different, and you're able to find these nodes on Facebook. Just go to Rotary Means Business 6900 and it'll be there. Presently, as I'm speaking, we're kind of changing some things up right now with some of the nodes. North Fulton, they meet at the same time, but we're looking at changing some of the locations. What we have found, Rotarians play hard, they work hard, and they have a social bent. So what that means in English is that we're trying to move the Rotary Means businesses from business office centers and community centers to more of a social bar, restaurant environment in which people can actually order a drink, order food, and a great opportunity to bring other people with them, such as wives, spouses, friends, to introduce them to Rotary. And there we set up a regular format, just like any other networking meeting. We actually set it up kind of parallel with a Rotary meeting that you would normally have. We'd start off with acknowledgments of guests, a pledge of prayer. We talk about the businesses, of people's businesses. We give them a 30-second elevator speech, and then we actually have a procedure or a routine, and we hope and we try to design the routine so no matter which one of these nodes that you go to, that you'll always be able to expect about the same thing. And the reason I say that is because sometimes I know one member of the Rotary Club of Vinings, Cumberland, that would be in the North Fulton node, but he actually goes to one in Atlanta because that's closest to his business. So that's how we got it kind of set up. The nodes also have their own unique day. North Fulton usually meets on the second Tuesday of the month. Cobb meets on the third Thursday. Atlanta meets on the last Tuesday, and South Atlanta meets on the last Thursday. As a matter of fact, next month I'll be traveling down to Thomasville to talk to that club about establishing Rotary Means Business down there. I'll be going, probably reaching out to Columbus, Douglasville, and any other clubs that would like to collaborate with other clubs in order to form a Rotary Means Business. I would be very happy to help formate that. In fact, this month, June, I'm visiting all the nodes in order to get them ready for the new year, starting, of course, on July the 1st. What kind of people show up for the Rotary Means Business? I've pretty much classified them as 4 different types of individuals. We have business-to-business people, which makes perfect sense. We have people that are actually doing it for social reasons. Some of the people, when they give their 30-second speech, like one lady there in South Georgia, she's the head of the library for Clayton State University. I'm not sure why she was there, but I have a feeling that she was there for the social aspect of meeting Rotarians outside of your club. We actually have some Rotarians that are there for job changes. They love Rotary, and we've had recruiters at some of these meetings, and there's people that are actually going through job changes or decided that the job they presently have is not working out for them, or in one case, the owner of the company passes on, and there's no succession plan in place, so the Rotarian's out of a job. And the last one, some Rotarians just want an opportunity to mentor other young businesses. So this is, again, an opportunity for you to meet younger people that are interested in business, to bring them to a Rotary Means Business event. And please, if you have any questions, let Claudia know, and I'll be happy to answer them. I know I'm kind of giving a really quick overview of Rotary Means Business, but it's a pretty exciting thing that we've got going on. It doesn't cost anybody anything, just your time. You'll meet some great people, and I think it's what we refer to as a value proposition to membership. So if you're thinking about wavering because you may not thinking that Rotary's worth it for you, check out a Rotary Means Business, and you get some business, it'll be worth it to you, of course. Which brings up another project that dovetails off Rotary Means Business. Next slide, please. Is called Rotary Networks 2019. This is something that, again, I call both of these membership collaborative-based initiatives. And Rotary Networks 2019 is basically what we're going to have at the Georgian Club on September 26th at 6 p.m., a big networking event for 150 people that choose to show up to network. And I think it's going to be exciting. We have a wonderful speaker. For those who don't know who he is, and I know some people do, we're going to have a speaker named Steve Beecham. And Steve Beecham wrote a book called What's Your Buzz? And when I heard Steve Beecham was going to speak at the Alvarado Club, I'm the AG for the Alvarado Club, I had to hear him speak just to find out about his new book. And when he was done with speaking, his own club gave him a standing ovation. Nobody does that in their own club, get a standing ovation. Usually it's kind of like, oh yeah, he's ours, we accept him. But his club gave him a standing ovation, and he did a great job. And he has agreed to speak that evening at this networking event. He's going to speak. He's going to get everybody charged up. We have a lot of surprises planned for that evening. I'm not going to tell you about them. I'm not going to tease you. I'm just going to tell you we have a lot of surprises. So it should be a lot of fun, and I encourage you. We'll get it signed. We're working on the details right now. Again, it's going to be at the Georgian Club on the 26th of September at 6 p.m. We're going to only have enough for 150 people. Plus, I already have somebody that's interested in, another author that's already interested in speaking at the next one, if we should be able to do that. And of course, the success of this one will determine whether we have another one. And incidentally, there is a Networks 2019 pin that goes with the event. The next initiative that I wanted to share with you is called the Rotary Council formation. Presently, we have 3 Rotary councils, DeKalb Rotary Council, we have the North Fulton Rotary Council, and we have the Cobb Rotary Council. Those are the 3 councils that are mature, up and running. I believe the DeKalb Rotary Council is well over 20, probably about 25 years old now, and the other one's not so old. They get together, usually the DeKalb ones meet monthly, and the Cobb and the North Fulton clubs meet every other month. And what the councils are designed for is a number of things, but designed really to support the presidents. At least that's the mission of the DeKalb County Rotary Council, was to support the presidents in their year. They have great speakers. They've got their first speaker coming up in July. Raymond Ray is going to be talking about, I believe, awards again for next year. He's going to be featured speaker. A lot of times during the year, they'll have the incoming district governor elect or nominee designate to speak, kind of giving a vision of what's going to happen in the future and that sort of thing. We, again, as I said, we have 3 of them right now, and Jim, District Governor Jim, has asked me to formate some more councils. And my plan for the councils is to actually set them up reverse of how I got the Rotary Means Business set up. I was able to make the Rotary Means Business setups quicker through the 3 councils that had already existed and dovetail off that. Well, now I'm going to be building the Rotary networks and then building councils off that. So that's going to take place in the next year. And when I'm down in Thomasville, of course, I will be mentioning that to them. I think that's pretty much it as far as what I have to say. Again, I just, I'm here to serve. If you want your clubs to form a Rotary Means Business, I will help you with that. I will make suggestions. I kind of know what's going on with this. Again, I recommend community centers. I recommend places that are much more socially accessible, and that way people will be more socially friendly to the things that we're trying to do. I think that's all if there's anybody that has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them at the end of the thing. Claudia, I think I'm done.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lou. That is a wonderful explanation of collaboration and getting us together to show what our businesses do. Thank you so much for being so involved and for a great presentation. I want to tell you a little bit now about Rotary International web resources and club best practices. So the first thing we want to do is go to Google. And what you want to do on Google is type in Rotary International Club Best Practices, and that will give you 9.750 -000 results in 0.4 seconds or less. Now the first one is best practices attraction from one of our sister districts, and it is amazing. Next slide, please. The best practices attraction is from District 5110, and it is in Oregon and Northern California. And they have a resource practices for attraction that is amazing. And it will tell you absolutely everything you want to know about attraction. So this is an incentive-based program to encourage every club's entire membership about inviting guests and having them come to not only meetings, but events and service practices. And I hope you'll go to that website for District 5110. It is just wonderful. And I think you will find more resources and more practices than you ever thought possible. Next slide, please. After that, we have the second one is a membership best practices. You go to My Rotary at rotary.org, Rotary International. It's one of many discussion groups that you're going to find. But this one right here provides a forum for all of the leaders at all levels. So if you're on the webinar, no matter what level you are as a leader in your club, it will give you best practices for recruiting, attracting, engaging, retaining. And the thing about that is it includes this website that is below. This website will give you retain all of those best practices, not only for current members, but also for prospective members. You've heard earlier tonight about how you can best put together information and public image and public relations materials for prospective members. This will give you best practices for those as well. Next slide, please. The next slide concerns our zone. Now, we have a lot of things going on that we don't take advantage of in our zones. Now, there's a Zone 3334 blog, a website that you can go to that will give you all of the directors and all of the coordinators, and it'll give you a map, all sorts of websites. It'll give you a calendar of what's going on, and it'll have a Contact Us button. Now, we know that we have a Rotary coordinator that we can call on for membership at any time. George Robertson Burnett has spoken at many of our events and is a very good resource. But we have resources even in our state. For foundation in our state, you'd go to Bill Strickland, for example, in District 6910. So we have resources all around us that are available for us. All we have to do is just let them know that we need them and to take advantage of those resources. Next slide, please. So let's zero in a little bit on Rotary International Zones 3334 and what we can find from our own zone. In our own zone, we can find where there is a whole page of nothing but that says welcome to Rotary Zones 33 and 34. If you go there, you will find a spot that has a resource called Resource Libraries, and it is tailored just for you. If you go to the search box, go to the Rotary Resource Libraries at the Zone 3334. If you will go to the search box that's at the top right of your screen when you get to Resource Libraries, just type in what you want to know. Type in simple words as it says. Search words like foundation, membership, foundation, anything you want to type in, you can type in and it will take you right to a source that is just amazing for you to look at. Next slide, please. So what I decided to do for this particular webinar in the Resources Library is to go to where it has Zone Leader, District Leader, Club Leader, and all documents under the Resource Libraries. I chose to go to Club Leader. Now when you go to Club Leader, next slide please, you will find under Club Leader, it's intended for all club leaders, not just the president or the president-elect. And it's not just that, but it's relevant to not only our current leadership, but for our future leaders as well. The years that I selected, I'm just drilling down on this resource library. We're just going step by step down into the club leader right now. And I chose 2019-2020 as the year that we wanted to drill down into the club leadership role. Now, what I selected was club role, and underneath that, I selected public image, public relations, because that was one of the things that we were talking about this year, in this webinar. When you drill down to public image, public relations, you can go right into awards. And what you can find in awards is Zone 34, 2019-20 Club Video Contest. And you can find exactly what you need to know about the Club Video Contest, and that the deadline is May 15th of 2020. So you must have your video in to the zone contest by May 15th of 2020. I drilled down a little bit more, and it told me a little bit about public image citation for Rotary and Rotaract clubs. And it gives you a PDF file of what you need to know about on that. So what I did was I drilled down from the resources library to the club leader, to the club leader role, to public images, and to awards, and this is what I got. Now you can do that on every single thing that pops up on Resource Library. It is a wonderful, all you do is put in any information that you want, including club president, public image, public relations. You can do any director that you have in your club and in your district. You can put that name in at that resource library, and you can drill down into what you want to drill down into. It's excellent, excellent resource for you. Next slide, please. There are other materials that are a wealth of information, and those include even if you're not a club president, that club president's manual is an amazing resource. Next, please. The Be a Vibrant Club brochure, you can download both the club president's manual and the Be a Vibrant Club brochure from your website. And it has all you do is just type in Be a Vibrant Club brochure, and it's type in Club President's Manual, and there it is. And we are having a wonderful Vibrant Club workshop, which will be at the Macon Marriott, and we are going to engage members, and we're going to try to teach them to conduct meaningful projects and try new ideas. It's a 2-hour workshop. And as we decided earlier on, District Governor-elect Jim and I decided early on that we wanted to focus on the 3 things that Rotary International is focusing on. And those 3 things are membership, foundation, and public image. And that's why we're hitting it so heavily on the webinars and in everything that we do, including this workshop. Now, this workshop will begin from 9:30 to 9:45. We're going to have a continental breakfast and the assembly. There will only be one assembly, and it'll only be for a few minutes, 15 or 20 minutes. We're going to start the workshops at 9:45. There will be breakouts from 9:45 until noon, and these breakouts will feature membership, foundation, and public image in a depth that you won't even believe. You will learn more from this workshop than you ever believed you would. There'll be a break at 10:45. We'll go back in at 11 o'clock, and from 11 to 12, we'll have meetings again. We will adjourn directly from the meeting site. We won't get together again. We'll adjourn directly from there. And we're just so excited about the Be a Vibrant Club workshop. District Governor-elect Jim, would you have a few more words you'd like to say about that?
Thanks a lot, Past District Governor Claudia. I am personally excited about this because this is an opportunity for club leadership to send those who are finally and completely responsible for either the foundation programs, the membership programs, or the public image programs to this particular event for a deep dive. You know, at the district assembly back in March, we had several 45-minute workshops, if you will, or breakouts for different aspects of foundation different aspects of public image, different aspects of membership. And sometimes it's hard to pick from this one or that one or that one. At this particular Vibrant Club workshop, all of the membership people will be together for the 2-hour period, and Jacqueline Donovan and her team will be leading those 2 hours of information and crosstalk in regards to membership. Cheryl Greenway, the new district foundation chair for next year, her team will be spending 2 hours with those club members that come whose responsibility is foundation and any of the aspects surrounding foundation. And Bob Hope, who is with us today, Bob will be doing the same thing with regards to those that are on the public image committees at the various clubs. So I think it'll be an excellent opportunity for people who may not have been assigned back in March to those particular areas of responsibility, but may have, as a result of the president-elects finalizing their teams later in the spring, to actually send people responsible for those 3 disciplines to really learn specifically about those areas that they have charge for in the coming year. So, and we'll start early. We'll get people out at noon. We'll have a hard stop at noon so people can get back and spend the rest of the afternoon. And we did find that when we are having this event, it is a bye for the University of Georgia. So those Bulldog fans out there won't have to worry about competing with the Bulldog game.
Thank you, District Governor-elect Jim. Appreciate that so much. They're all after the Vibrant Club brochure. We have best practices for club websites workshop, which is being done by Rotary International. If you'll hit the next button, Bill, please. That best practices for club websites workshop is on at rotary.org, and you want to take advantage of that. This is a websites is part of our public image and a part of our public relations. And next, I'm going to give you a website from District 7090, and this is a district up in the New York Lakes area. It's a pretty big district, and I asked Kevin and Tamara, whose names appear here, if I could use this website tonight to tell you about how brilliant that website is. If you go to the website that's here, that's listed here, you will find more club resources than you have ever thought were available. I mean, I just really was impressed with everything that they have on the website. It is amazing, the information that they've been able to put together in one site that has things to do with membership and foundation and public image. It has to do with club leadership. I mean, it is just a wonderful resource. And the next one is Rotary International Club Best Practices. And you're going to want to go there and see exactly how much you can gain from there. Let's go on to the next slide, please. You've had a next slide, please. We have just a few minutes left, and we have some questions that we need answered, but I just wanted to recap by thanking our presenters, Bob and Lou, so much. It was a wonderful presentation. And to make comments again, as District Governor-elect Jim said, thank you all for putting together your time and giving us your time. And I wanted to ask some questions. There are some questions tonight from it says Claudia, and this is directed to District Governor-elect Jim. And Lou, if you could mute your mic for just a minute. It says, Claudia, I have questions concerning deadlines while we're all here. District Governor-elect Jim's email the other day said that officers, directors, goals, etc. should be entered into the Rotary Club Central before 7/1. The governor's citation states 8:15. Is it possible that I have an old version of the citation? And this comes from Jillian. District Governor-elect Jim? Did you have an answer for that?
Yeah, I was just wondering, I think somebody else muted there.
Yeah, Lou, could you mute your mic, please?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we got new information from Rotary International that's going to be part. We're going to be updating aspects of the governor's citation. For example, we're going to remove the requirement for the president-elect to have to come to the Vibrant Club workshop because it conflicts with a GRSP conclave. So that wasn't your specific question, Jillian, but I want you to know that within the next week we'll have actually an updated governor citation. With regards to having the information, we would like to have it by the start of the year, just because there are many clubs that I'll be visiting before that August timeframe, and I'd like to make sure that we have the information available so that we can discuss that when I go to the clubs for the official visit.
Thank you, Jim. Next slide, please. Back one slide, please. Okay, the other question is from Gordon, and it says, I added the Rotary International Brand Standards Guide to the PE resources on Rotary6900.org. So now we have an International Brand Standards Guide. As Bob was mentioning before, some of the things are no longer what we should be doing. Another question from Terry, and this is to Lou. Lou, explain the nodes again. Is there another description that would better explain it?
The reason we call it, I had to come up with some terminology to distinguish the councils from the Rotary means business, and so that I came up with the term nodes. And if you actually look up the definition of nodes, it actually means a collective gathering together. And so it really kind of fits if you actually look up the definition. It was just something that popped in my head, and that's why we came up with the term nodes. So we have a North Fulton node, we have a Atlanta node, we have a Cobb node, and the South Atlanta node, and then eventually we'll probably have a South Central node, a West Georgia's presidential node. That's the only reason. That's the only word I could come up with.
Where would they find the clubs that are assigned to each of the nodes?
That is a good question. That would be on our Rotary Means Business 6900 page on Facebook. I don't know if that's in there now, Jim, but I will make sure that's in there. We have to also update our locations before the 1st of July, because presently the North Fulton Rotary node up there is getting ready to change their location. So we're trying to get all this done before the 1st of July.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We have one other question, and this is from Jillian. Question that has nothing to do with this particular webinar. Is there a way that AGs can find out which of their PEs are taking advantage of these webinars? We have no way of knowing if our presidents-elect are participating, and it would help to know so we could encourage them to attend. We do have a list of those people who are attending, and I think, Bill, it would be safe to say that it would be fine. It would be something that we could do to send all of the people who attended to all of the assistant governors. Yes, we can do that. We only have about a minute left, or 2 minutes left. So if we could go to the next slide, please. Okay, remember we built a network for sharing resources that we built just for you. And it's the Facebook group for District 2019-2020 leadership team. So we've sent you the link to join, but I'm going to put it up one more time. This is the link. This is the Facebook group that you can join. And last week we put on up next, please, Bill. There you go. We put on your club leadership plan. So if you have not already finished your leadership plan for the year, please go to the Facebook group and for our leadership team. And this is one of the resources that was shared. Please go. If you are not a member of our resource group, go to that Facebook group's website that's there, and I will send you a link, and you can join our group. And it is just a great group to join, and and look at the other things that are on there as well. Next slide, please. At this point, we just want to take an opportunity to thank you for being with us, and from our district leadership, District Governor-elect Jim, from me especially, I thank you for being here. Our Public Image Director, Bob Hope, Assistant Governor, Rotary Means Business Chair, Lou Alvarado, and our webinar guru, Bill Baker. We all thank you for being here. And tonight we've tried to make this a value for your time, and I hope we've succeeded in doing that. Our next webinar will be on July 9th from 5 to 6 p.m., and the topic will be Rotary Club and District Liability Insurance. You will certainly want to take advantage of that. You will be getting an invitation to join that webinar, and I hope you'll take advantage of it. We're looking forward to having you with us again then. Thank you from all of us, and have a great night.